assume that sexism barely happens anymore. But there is still a huge amount of it around today. Just last term, I experienced sexism at our school. I was reading the list of activity options for sports day, and I noticed that there was a 400-metre race for boys, but no 400-metre race for girls. Do you think this is right? I expect not. There are plenty of sexist practices as well. Just one of these is that women athletes are paid less than men. And in Israel, a woman must get a legal document provided by her husband if she wants a divorce. And do you know, in Saudi Arabia, women weren't allowed to drive until 2018. And there have been no women USA presidents. Now I'm going to tell you about 3 women who changed the world. I will start with who I think is one of the most courageous women in history. She was called Mary Seacole. Mary was a Jamaican woman who learnt nursing from her mother when she helped the Yale. When the Crimean War began, Mary went to Crimea, which is now part of Ukraine, and, with funding, got her own boarding house, which she named the British Hotel. Although it was built from old wood, she managed to treat every soldier that came in. Mary was so brave that she would go onto the battlefield to treat wounded men. After the war, she was completely broke. But instead of giving up, she wrote her own book and made money from that. Next is a group of women who used all sorts of methods to win their argument. They were the suffragettes. In 1903, a woman named Millie Fawcett founded the cause. Her argument was, why shouldn't women be allowed to vote for rules that they live by, even though they work and pay taxes too? Men didn't listen, but Millie kept her argument and decided against using violent methods. After a while, it was decided that maybe violence was needed to give women the right to vote. So Emmeline Pankhurst took over. She inspired the suffragettes to go to the extremes, such as burning churches, destroying shops, attacking MPs, and bursting into Parliament holding signs. They even mailed themselves in sacks to Downing Street to get a meeting with the Prime Minister. One lady, Miss Davidson, sacrificed herself for the suffragettes. During the Derby on June 13th, she went through the crowds and jumped in front of the King's horse to show how far the suffragettes would go. Sadly, the men still said no. When World War I began, the suffragettes put down their signs to help the war effort. And once Britain won, men decided that women should have the right to vote. My last fantastic female is the activist Rosa Parks. In the 50s, there was a huge amount of segregation in America. Just one of these is the racist bus seating. White people were given the better seats in the front, while black people were made to sit in the worst seats in the back. One day, in Montgomery, Alabama, a normal black woman who had been forced to obey segregation laws her entire life was told that she must move from her seat on the bus so that there would be room for a white man. Rosa refused and was arrested. On December the 5th, 1955, Rosa's trial was held. The same day, black people started a public transport strike, led by a man named Martin Luther King Jr. The strike lasted for a whole year. When it got big enough to go to the president, the law had to change. Bus segregation ended, and just one woman started the civil rights movement in America. Thank you.